special town meeting. And the first order of business is our moderator could not be here tonight. I need a nomination from the floor for a temporary moderator.
I nominate Ed Moran.
Second.
Would you like to be our moderator? Thank you. And okay. You have been appointed temporary moderator for this meeting this evening. You'll perform your duties to the best of your ability and knowledge.
I do.
Welcome, moderator.
Yeah. Get this thing on. Can everybody hear me? Right. This is gonna be a special town meeting. I guess we're going to do two articles.
Three.
Yeah, but three going to change, right?
3 is gonna be no action.
Okay. In the name of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, you are required to notify one inhabitant of town of Plainfield, qualified to vote in town affairs, somewhere in Plainfield Town Hall, 348 Main Street on Wednesday, November 12th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Then and there to act on the following articles to wit. Article 1, to see if the town will vote to transfer the ownership of recently discommissioned 1992 Pierce International Fire Truck, which was purchased by the town in 1992. The Plainfield Volunteer Fire Association will take any action thereto. Have a motion on that? Second. Any other motions? Call, vote on it?
No, I
All
have
in
a question.
favor?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Where is Route 27 South Energy? What is the volunteer fire department?
I can't hear you.
What is the volunteer fire department going to do with that old truck?
You're gonna sell it and take, like the chief answer. Right?
It's actually, not volunteer fire department, it would be the volunteer fire association, just for clarification. So our plan is to sell the vehicle. The reason that we purchased as a town a new vehicle was to get out from under all of the costly repairs of this older truck that is no longer reliable for us. So our plan is to sell it. We would like to sell it and put proceeds towards something that the fire department needs. And so one of the ideas that I have put forward as chief to the fire association is we know coming up in the next year or two, the state is going to mandate that we have to change our radio system to the 800 megahertz technology. This is very expensive communications technology. One portable radio costs about $4,800. Once they decommission the old VHF system, we will no longer be able to communicate. So we would like to use some of the money to go towards that, to prepare for when the state makes that change, so that we don't have to come to the town to ask for thousands and thousands of dollars for radios. We're trying to get there before it becomes an issue. If that answers the question.
Any other questions? I'm move to vote on this. All in favor? Opposed? Carries. Article 1, to see if the town will vote to transfer the ownership.
That's Article 2.
Oh, yeah. Let's see what that's. To see the town will approve payment of fire hose to Radar testing that occurred on 6/13/25, fiscal year 25, amount of $2,268.09 from the fiscal 26 fire budget. Of taking the action.
I can clarify on this just a little bit, because the hose testing happened right at the end of FY25. We didn't get a bill until after the new fiscal year. We were planning to spend the money from our budget of FY20, have the money allocated. I'm not asking for we're just asking to be able to use the money from this budget to pay for that bid.
Any other questions? Like to hear a motion on this?
I move we vote.
Second. Vote, all in favor? Opposed? Carries. Article 3. Select board.
We're going to take no action. Or we recommend taking no action because we misunderstood the process required. And we have not met the state Mass General Law requirements. And so we're going to simply take no action on it at this time. But I can assure people that we are still working on the whole question of the industrial solar installation.
Do you think that, it'll have to wait until the annual town meeting, or is there a possibility we're gonna? Another stuff?
For a moratorium, it would have to wait until the annual town meeting, because that is construed to be an amendment to the zoning bylaw. And zoning bylaws have to be approved at annual town meeting, and then they have to be approved by the Attorney General. So that would be a much longer process, but we are working on other approaches to dealing within the constraints of the existing special permit application.
Thank you.
Second vote. Question?
What does that mean for applications that are gonna be coming up before the full town meeting?
Well, if they are qualified applications, then that locks in the zoning bylaws as they are today. And we have to consider them by Mass General Law.
You're saying you have to consider it, so they're not going to be actual.
I'm sorry, yeah, we have to consider them, but we are subject to the current zoning bylaw. And we are subject to the state laws with regards to timeframe. So once an application is appropriately received, we have 60 days to have a public hearing. And then from the date that that public hearing is closed, we have 90 days to make a decision. So there could be other applications that come in before our annual town meeting that we would have to decide on. But I don't want to get out in front of the planning board. I'm a member of it, but I'm only an alternate. I'm not even the chair or anything. So I don't want to talk about what we've been discussing too much, but there are different angles that we're working. Avenues. Jack,
Check, nothing else on the street. I don't know if it's on a order or not, I was just wondering if we can have a sort of a vote on the resolution opposing large scale solar in general.
you can do it, but it carries no weight and it has no variance.
That's what we'd like to get it on the record.
It won't be on the record for the state. It would be on the record for the town, but not the state. I mean, I don't know, I'm making that up. You're not. It won't stand up. It has no meaning to do that. We can do that, but it has no meaning either to the state or in any legal sense, even if it's in the minutes of the special town meeting. Betsy?
Do you know, how this, how a new application would be affected by the March 1st new zoning laws by the state? Like, would it just, I know you probably don't.
I don't know. I would have to ask our town council about that.
Yeah,
But my guess, from the many hours of time I've spent on the phone with our town council, is that it would be subject, basically, when the application is received and acknowledged, then it locks in the zoning bylaws as they were at that moment in time.
even if it crosses over that March 1st deadline.
Well, the March 1st deadline, it doesn't constrain our zoning bylaws at all. Our zoning bylaws are not more expansive than the March 1st regulations as they currently stand. That's one of the things we have to work on urgently.
Okay.
Jeannie?
138 Pleasant Street, Judy Sargent. I'm still confused about what you're saying will be brought up at this annual town meeting for 2025. Anything? As it relates?
Probably zoning bylaw amendments. No, 2026.
Oh, so nothing is 2025.
No, because 2025 is already closed. That closed on June 30th. 2026, the June 2026 annual town meeting, I believe. Or May,
May.
sorry, May. I believe, I don't know for a fact, because we haven't drafted them yet,
Okay.
that the planning board will be recommending to the town amendments to our existing town zoning bylaws. And we have yet to fully discuss and vet those.
And those things would all come for the whole town for review or discussion.
There would be a public hearing at least 2 weeks before the town meeting. That is the law. Susie,
Westwood, 161 West Street. What is the March 1st? I think maybe that came up in another.
the March 1st deadline, so the Commonwealth of Massachusetts has created a large-scale solar siting commission. And they have recommended regulations for the state. And there have been a number of public hearings. The public hearings are closed, but you can still submit written comments. And you can find that online. If you need help with that, let's talk offline.
Okay.
But all of the public comments have to be in by March 1st because the regulations as recommended will go into effect on March 1st. Well, they will become permanent on March 1st unless there are changes. And then all towns in the state of Massachusetts will have to comply with them by December 1st of 2026. So they give you a period of time to adjust and comply, but those will be the regulations as of March 1st.
And those regulations will come out of this commission?
They already have, they've been published, and there have been public hearings about them. But, the public hearings, so that if you wanted to go in person or watch on Zoom, those are done. But you can still submit written comments to the state about that.
Are they more expensive than Arbor solar?
Yes. I believe so. I sat down to try and read through all of them this week or in the last few weeks, and I glazed over and I couldn't finish them. Elizabeth,
Elizabeth Lambert, 47 Grant. There's also, I've read them online too, but there's also a separate piece that's a little harder to find that is about batteries. And that's called BESS, B-E-S-S.
from my
Those two.
from my conversation with the lawyer, he said that there had been a court case where towns had been trying to separate those, and they have been construed to be a part of large-scale solar installation. So they are not separable from the solar.
Okay, but reading them, when I went online to read the state stuff, it looked separate. So if you want to comment on those, just like hunt around for something that says BESS.
But they aren't separate, is my point.
Okay,
They are a part, if it is a large-scale solar installation, the lawyer told me BESS is construed to be part of that. That's a component.
I guess what I'm saying is some people may not realize that it's not just a bunch of solar panels. It is also these big old batteries. So that's what I'm trying to say, whether it's officially, yes, it's officially part of the same thing. But I think people realize that it's more than
It's not just having solar panels.
solar panels.
And I think there's another, Jude Womwell, 50 West Hill Road. I think there's another component in that they're very large battery proposals without the solar fields.
Right.
And so those are distinct, many people do not want those in their community. So
Right.
that is it can be confusing because now the big solar arrays will have a different type of BESS system in them And then there are these huge battery systems that, have been proposed. And
And
that, yeah,
Those will be nuances of the zoning bylaw that Jude Wamwell is also a member of the planning board, so thank you for bringing that up.
yeah.
We will be considering in the recommended revised zoning bylaw.
But I think everyone should be reading this material and writing and commenting to the state, because there are certain aspects that no matter what we do, we will not have power over that. And this is the time period to comment. And I think I'm just gonna state the obvious, it's been stated many times in these meetings, AI is coming. It's going to be so hard to be carbon neutral when AI is going to add demand. And so I don't know that we can chase this down, and we don't want to change the nature of Western Massachusetts in the process. I don't think anybody would want to do that. At the same time, we want to do our part for clean energy. So you have to educate yourself, and you have to do it quickly, and we have to be active in this process. And so, there's someone helping us out here, I know, in
Yeah.
this room, so yeah.
Paige?
Paige Cerulli, North Union Street, regarding submitting comments to the state, I know there's a deadline, I believe it's coming up, does anyone know that, Elizabeth?
I read all different things, but I think it's November 14th. You have to kind of
That's Friday.
Yeah.
call your, the section that I found of the solar bylaws, it's like 2906 is the one that's the most readable. The rest of it is like definitions of this, that, and the other thing, which, go ahead. I mean, I recommend reading it all. I did it. Boy. But,
That's what I say.
Yeah.
but when you make your comments, you have to cite, you can do it online. If you look far enough, there's a place you can do it. You have to cite the numbers of the things.
The section, the law, the section,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cite that.
law, paragraph, section.
Can you share the basic website?
I already did, actually, on,
Verbally, can you say?
no, I can't, I don't know what the hell it is. Informal conversations, Google's group, Google groups.
Maybe something that can post about everything.
I
Yeah,
can't,
I'll do that. Okay.
thank you.
Jack, did you wanna say
I
something?
just wanna say that what Jude is saying is especially pertinent. We are facing with these standalone battery operations up on, I think it's gonna be on, up near near the cemetery up there in that general vicinity. Cause they've already,
Was that the Nexamp one?
yeah,
Yeah, Nexamp already has a solar facility here, and they were gonna put in a standalone battery system. That particular area is particularly appealing because of its proximity to the intersection of two major rights of way for Eversource, and that's where they've built their new hub. We are one of the hubs for regional grid balancing. And there's both a north-south axis and an east-west axis, and we fall at one of those intersections. And so there's now a hub where they store energy, and then if they have a need for it in a different part of the grid, and this is regionally, not just in Massachusetts, not just in Western Massachusetts, from New York to Maine, to Vermont, to New Hampshire, to Eastern Mass. And then they will draw against those battery systems to supplement the grid when it fails in other areas. Steve,
Steve Barrett was 92 Summit Street. So am I correct in understanding that, say, someone put in an application this month with the 60-day and the 90-day deadlines, that would make it April. And so the boards would be forced to use the existing zoning bylaw regulations to vote on any of those.
that is correct.
And
But I will say that the planning board has the ability to put conditions on any special permit. that
As,
is issued.
as does the Board of Health and the Conservation.
Right, well, one of the conditions is that it is subject to the approval of the Board of Health, the Conservation Commission,
Right.
and the fire department. So, you know, that goes without saying, that if they don't agree,
But
we have to have
that
more-
extend these deadlines at all, if,
I don't know about what Mass General Law says about that. But, the planning board, once it requires, an application, it requires to hold a public hearing within 60 days and make a decision within 90 days. I don't know what happens if there is a wrinkle in the process that makes the 90 days not possible. I would want to consult with KP Law before because I think there has to be some kind of exception procedure, I imagine. But I've been surprised by Mass General Law before.
well, I was just wondering if the planning board, you know, it goes to 60 and the 90 days, the planning board then says at that deadline, we will approve it with these conditions. Does the Board of Health get more time to go over it and, you know, possibly
Well,
put
we're
their
in
own
conversation
conditions on
with the
it?
Board of Health and the Conservation Commission and Fire Department at every step of the way. It's not like we're just charging ahead without their input.
Well, to be honest, I didn't hear much from anyone as far as, you know, as the board, I'm a Board of Health member, and we didn't hear anything about this beforehand. And, you know, we don't wanna be stuck in a corner with 1 week to decide if we have our own conditions, if we're worried about what's happening in town, if it's gonna be a danger to the health and safety of others, and
A point of clarification, because I just attended a training in the middle of this process. If we don't meet our 90-day deadline, the proposal can go through as is. Not even with our conditions, we have to meet that 90-day deadline. So, or reject it, or have some decision. So we can't mess around with that 90-day deadline.
right.
They have, clearly representation that knows that.
So the planning board has to come forward with their approval with conditions, and then it goes to the other boards.
I think what we need to do is have a collective meeting of the
I agree.
Conservation Commission, the Board of Health, and the Planning Board between now and Christmas, because Christmas is 90 days from the date that the public hearing was closed. So sometime between November 12th and December 25th, well, probably earlier than December 25th, because the Planning Board has to issue their ruling. But we have to come together as a collective and discuss the things we're talking about and what is possible and not possible. Sooner is better, because every time somebody suggests something, although I have gotten to be really good friends with our lawyer, I do not know as much as he does. And I throw out a lot of the same ideas that you guys are throwing out. And sometimes he says, yeah, that's possible, or no, that's not possible, and here's why, and cites the law. So if there's going to be changes to what comes out of that meeting, I would hope we would allow enough time to talk to our general counsel for the town. So I would encourage anybody here who's a member of the Board of Health, Conservation Commission, Fire Department, I know they're here, that to make yourselves available when we're able to convene such a meeting. Because that would be important to making sure that everybody who has a stake in this, at least a legal stake in that sense, would have had an opportunity to hear what we're thinking about, what we're proposing, and then to weigh in on it. Jerry?
Jerry Little, 7317, also in the planning board. I know for a fact that the Concom has been given a complete set of plans and everything, and I think the health department had too. And I know you've already had some meetings on this, so it's not waiting to throw something at you later. Right now, you have the information, and And there have been meetings going on, whether with the fire department, with conservation commission, and with the health department.
Yeah, but I think that this is all not the purpose of this town meeting, special town meeting.
Oh, yeah.
So
Say Article 3. Well,
I think that we vote no action.
all in favor?
I,
Opposed? Yes, nobody opposed.
it carries. All right, I move we adjourn this meeting.
Wait, Judy,
What?
can, as Jack said, can we have this vote anyway, a show of hands, just so it's on a record? I know it's not official.
It's meaningless at this point. I really wouldn't.
Okay, fair enough.
I move we adjourn
That's
this.
legal.
town meeting.
Well, I wasn't talking about legal, I think we would just, I get it.
Yep.
Somebody,
I said I moved that we adjourn this town meeting.
all in favor?
Aye.